Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to start the continuation of our chapter, which we're reading the climax and integration of the Mughal Empire. So, we're going to start with a passage Northeast and East India. We've mentioned in an earlier chapter the rise of Ahom power in Assam Valley and their conflict with the rulers of Kamata, Kamrup on the one hand, and with the Afghan rulers of Bengal on the other. The kingdom of Kamata declined by the end of the 15th century and was replaced by the kingdom of Cooch Behar, which dominated North Bengal and western Assam and continued the policy of conflict with the Ahoms. However, the internal dispute led to the division of the kingdom in the early 17th century and to the entry of Mughals in Assam at the instance of the Cooch ruler. The Mughals defeated the Splitway kingdom and in 1612 occupied the western Assam valley up to Bar Nadi with the help of Cooch armies. The Cooch rulers became a Mughal vassal. Thus, the Mughals came into contact with the Ahoms who ruled eastern Assam across the Bar Nadi. After a long war with the Ahoms, who had harbored a prince of the defeated dynasty, a treaty was made with them at last in 1638, which fixed the Bar Nadi as the boundary between them and the Mughals. Thus Guwahati came under Mughal control. There was a long drawn out war between the Mughals and the Ahoms during the reign of Aurangzeb. The war began with the attempt of the Ahom rulers to expel Mughals from Guwahati and a neighboring area and thus complete their control over Assam. Mir Jumla, who had been appointed the governor of Bengal by Aurangzeb, wanted to make his mark by bringing Cooch Behar and the entire Assam under Mughal control. He first assaulted Cooch Behar, which had repudiated Mughal suzerainty and annexed the entire kingdom to the Mughal Empire. He next invaded the Ahom kingdom. Mir Jumla occupied the Ahom capital Gadgaon and held it for 6 months. Next, he penetrated up to the limit of the Ahom kingdom, finally forcing the Ahom Raja to make a humiliating treaty. In 1663, the Raja had to send his daughter to the Mughal harem, pay a large war indemnity, and an annual tribute of 20 elephants. The Mughal boundary was extended from the Bar Nadi to the Bharali river. Mir Jumla died soon after his brilliant victory. However, the advantages of a forward move in Assam were doubtful since the area was not rich and was surrounded by warlike tribes living in the mountains. It was found that the back of the Ahom power had not been broken and that it was beyond Mughal power to enforce the treaty. In 1667, the Ahomsa renewed the contest. They not only recovered the area ceded to the Mughals but also occupied Guwahati. Earlier, the Mughals had also been expelled from Cooch Behar. Thus, all the gains of Veer Jumla were rapidly lost. A long, desultory warfare with the Ahoms lasting a decade and a half followed. For a long period, the command of the Mughal forces were with Raja Ram Singh, the ruler of Amber, but he hardly had the resources for the task. Finally, the Mughals had to give up even Guwahati and fix a boundary west of it. The There's a misprint over here. In Assam showed the limits of the Mughal power in far-flung areas and also the skill and determination of the Ahoms, who avoided pitched battles and adopted a mode of guerrilla warfare. Similar tactics were to be adopted with similar success by the opponents of the Mughal in other areas. However, the shock of the Mughal invasion and the subsequent warfare undermined the strength of Ahom monarchy and led to the decline and disintegration of the Ahom Empire. So they basically used the uh, uh, idea of guerrilla warfare instead of the pitched battles. This can also be seen, like a similar trend could also be seen in parts of Deccan, which was used by Marathas. They also did the guerrilla warfare technique. However, this technique was successful in uh, however, this technique was successful in keeping Mughals from their way, but this would eventually undermine the strength of the Ahom monarchy and led to the decline and disintegration of the Ahom Empire. The Mughals had more success elsewhere in the east. Shaista Khan, who succeeded Mir Jumla as the governor of Bengal after his setback at the hands of Shivaji, proved to be a good administrator and an able general. He modified Mir Jumla's forward policy. First, he patched up an agreement with the ruler of Kuch Bihar. Next, he gave his attention to the problem of South Bengal, where the Magh Arakanese pirates, in conjunction with the Firingi Portuguese pirates, had been terrorizing the area up to Dhaka from their headquarters at Chittagong. The land up to Dhaka had become desolate and trade and industry had suffered a setback. Shaista Khan built up a flotilla to meet the Arakanese pirates and captured the island of Sondip as a base of operations against Chittagong. So we've seen earlier that the Mughals, although were very able and skilled in the pitched warfare, they didn't have any fleets or any naval army. Although Akbar had some boats and fleets, troops, but it was not up to such an extent that they could lead a warfare in the sea. So here we could see that Shaista Khan, who was the successor after Mir Jumla, in order to pacify and in order to consolidate the Mughal Empire in Cooch Behar and the eastern areas, he tried to pacify the Cooch Behar ruler and came up into an agreement with him. And in the similar terms, he saw that the eastern Bengal was in threat because of the Arkanese pirates and the Portuguese pirates, which were also referred to as the Firangi pirates. And because of this, that the area from Decca to Chittagong was totally terrorized and dissolute from the mainland. So, in order to uh, consolidate the command of the Mughal armies, Shaista Khan built up a flotilla and captured the island of Sondip and made it as the base of his operations against Chittagong. Next he won the Firang is to his sides by inducements of money and favor. The Firans are the Portuguese. The Arakan navy near Chittagong was routed and many of the ships captured. Chittagong was next assaulted and captured early in 1666. The destruction of Arakanese navy was complete and opened the seas to free commerce. This is no minor factor in the rapid growth of Bengal's foreign trade during the period and the expansion of cultivation in East Bengal. In Orissa, the rebellion of the Pathans was put down and Balasore reopened to commerce. Popular revolts and movements for regional independence, Jats, Afghans, and Sikhs. Within the empire, Aurangzeb had to deal with a number of different difficult political problems, such as the problems of the Marathas in the Deccan, the Jats and Rajputs in North India, and that of the Afghans and Sikhs in the northwest. Some of these problems were not new, but had to be faced by Aurangzeb's predecessors. But they assumed a different character under Aurangzeb. The nature of these problems also varied. In the case of the Rajputs, it was basically a problem of succession. In the case of the Marathas, it was a question of local independence. The clash with the Jats had a peasant agrarian background. The only movement in which religion played a role was the Sikh movement. But the Jats and the Sikhs movement culminated in attempts to set up independent regional states. The struggle of the Afghans was tribal in character, but there also the sentiment of setting up a separate Afghan state was at work. The economic and social factors, as well as the sentiment of regional independence, which continued to be strong, were major factors in shaping these movements. It has sometimes been argued that all these movements, excluding the Afghan one, represented a Hindu reaction against Aurangzeb's narrow religious policies. In a country where the overwhelming section of the people consisting of Hindus, any movement which came into conflict with the predominantly Muslim central government could be dubbed a challenge to Islam. Likewise, the leaders of these rebel movements could use religious slogans or symbols to broaden their appeal. Hence, we must be careful in analyzing the real nature of these movements. The Jats and Satnamis. The first section to come into conflict with the Mughal government were the Jats of the Agra Delhi region, living on both sides of the river Yamuna. The Jats were mostly peasant cultivators, only a few of them being zamindars. With a strong sense of brotherhood and justice, Jats had often come into conflict with the government and taken to rebellion, taking advantage of the difficult terrain. Thus, conflict with Jats had taken place during the reigns of Jahangir and Shahjahan over collection of land revenue. Since the imperial road to the Deccan and the western sea force passed through these areas, the Mughal government had taken a serious view of these rebellions and taken stern measures. In 1669, the Jats of Mathura region broke out in rebellion under the leadership of the local zamindar Kokla. The rebellion spread rapidly among the peasants of the area, and Aurangzeb decided to march in person from Delhi to quell it. Although the Jat levies had swelled to 20,000, they were no match for the organized imperial army. In a stiff battle, the Jats were defeated. Kokla was captured and executed. However, the movement was not completely crushed, and discontent continued to simmer. Meanwhile, in 1672, there was another armed conflict between the peasants and the Mughal state at Narnaul, not far from Mathura. This time, the conflict was with the religious body called Satnamis. Satnamis were mostly peasants, artisans, and low caste people called goldsmiths, carpenters, sweepers, tanners, and other ignorable beings by a contemporary writer. Ignoble beings. This is a very peculiar term to use for people. They did not observe distinctions of caste and rank or between Hindus and Muslims and followed a strict code of conduct. So they did not observe any distinctions of caste and rank or between Hindus and Muslims and followed a strict code of conduct. So it was a very inclusive group. Starting from a clash with a local official, it soon assumed the character of an open rebellion. Again, the emperor had to march in people. Again, the emperor had to march in person to crush it. It is interesting to know that the local Hindu zamindars, many of whom were Rajputs, sided with the Mughals in this conflict. So the local Hindu zamindars actually sided with the Mughals in this very conflict with the Satnamis. In 1685, there was a second uprising of the Jats under the leadership of Raja Ram. The Jats were better organized this time and adopted the methods of guerrilla warfare, combining it with plunder. Aurangzeb approached Raja Bishan Singh, the Kachawa ruler, to crush the uprising. Bishan Singh was appointed Faujdar of Mathura, and the entire area was granted to him in zamindari. Conflict between the Jats and the Rajputs over zamindari rights complicated the issue. Most of the primary zamindars, that is, those cultivating peasants who own the lands being Jats, and the intermediary zamindars, that is, those who collected the land revenue, being Rajputs. So there was an ongoing Jat and Rajput zamindari conflict, and the persons who were cultivating peasants and who owned the land were the Jats, and those who were the intermediary zamindars who collected the land revenue were the Rajputs. So Jats were the people who used to cultivate the land; they were the peasants, and who owned the land as well. But the Rajputs were the one who used to collect the land revenue. The Jats put up stiff resistance, but by 1691, Rajaram and his successor Churaman were compelled to submit. However, unrest among the Jat peasants continued, and their plundering activities made the Delhi-Agra road unsafe for travellers. Later on in the 18th century, taking advantage of the Mughal civil wars and weakness in the central government, Churaman was able to carve out a separate Jat principality in the area and to oust the Rajput zamindars. Thus what apparently started as a peasant uprising was devoid from its character and culminated in a state in which the Jat chiefs formed the ruling class. The Afghans. Aurangzeb came into conflict with the Afghans also. Conflict with the hardy Afghan tribesmen who lived in the mountain region between Punjab and Kabul was not new. Akbar had to fight against the Afghans and in the process lost the life of his close friend and confidant Raja Birbal. Conflict with the Afghan tribesmen had also taken place during the reign of Shah Jahan. Also, these conflicts were partly economic and partly political and religious. Religious in the sense that there were some uh, conflicts with the Afghans because of the liberal policies followed by Akbar, and there was a conflict with Iran and subsequent areas. With little means of livelihood in the rugged mountains, the Afghans had little opinion but to prey on caravans or to enroll in the Mughal armies. Their fierce love of freedom made service in Mughal armies difficult. The Mughals generally kept them happy by paying them subsidies. But growth of population or the rise of ambitious leader could lead to a breach of this tacit agreement. During the reign of Aurangzeb, we see a new stirring among the Pathans. In 1667, Bhagu, the leader of Yusufzai tribe, proclaimed as king a person named Muhammad Shah, who claimed descent from an ancient royal lineage and proclaimed himself as Wazir. It would appear that among the Afghans, as among the Jats, the ambition of setting up a separate state of their own had begun to stir. A religious revivalist movement called the Roshanai, which emphasized a strict ethical life and devotion to a chosen peer, had provided an intellectual and moral background to the movement. So it was a religious revivalist movement called Roshanai. Gradually, Bhagu's movement spread till the followers started ravaging and plundering the Hazara, Attock, and Peshawar districts and brought the traffic in the Khyber to a standstill. To clear the Khyber and crush the uprising, Aurangzeb deputed the chief Bakshi Amir Khan. A Rajput contingent was posted with him. After a series after a series of hard battles, the Afghan resistance was broken, but to watch over them in 1671, Maharaja Jaswant Singh, the ruler of Marwar, was appointed as the Thanedar of Jamrud. There was a second Afghan uprising in 1672. The leader of the opposition this time was the Afridi leader Ajmal Khan, who proclaimed himself king and struck khutbah and sikka in his name. He declared war against the Mughals and summoned all the Afghans to join him. According to the contemporary writer with a following, more numerous than ants and locusts, they closed the Khyber Pass. Moving forward to clear the pass, Amin Khan advanced too far and suffered disastrous defeat in a narrow defile. The Khan managed to escape with his life, but 10,000 men perished and cash and goods were worth 2 crore were looted by the Afghans. This defeat brought other tribesmen into the fray, including Khushal Khan Khattak, a sworn enemy of Aurangzeb, from whose hands he had suffered imprisonment for some time. In 1674, another Mughal noble, Shujat Khan, suffered a disastrous rout in the Khyber, but he was rescued by a heroic band of Rathors sent by Jaswant Singh. At last, in the middle of 1674, Aurangzeb himself went to Peshawar and remained in the neighborhood till the end of 1675. Slowly by force and diplomacy, the Afghan united front was broken and peace was slowly restored. The Afghan uprising shows that sentiments of resistance to the Mughal rule and the urge for religious freedom were not confined to the sections of Hindus, such as Jats, Marathas, etc. Also, the Afghan uprising helped to relax Mughal pressure on Shivaji during a crucial period. So the Afghan uprising helped to relax Mughal pressure on Shivaji during a crucial period. It also made difficult, if not possible, a forward policy by the Mughals in Deccan till 1676, by which time Shivaji had crowned himself and entered into an alliance with Bijapur and Golconda. So by the time Shivaji had crowned himself and came into an alliance with Bijapur and Golconda, there were a subsequent battle going on with the Afghan chiefs, and this led to the Mughals not exerting a lot of pressure in the Deccan. So Shivaji could actually pave his way to his ambitions, and also for a regional and also for setting regional independence. The Sikhs were the last to come into military conflict with Aurangzeb. As we have seen, there was conflict with Sikh gurus during the reigns of Jahangir and Shah Jahan. But the reason for the conflict were political and personal rather than religious. The gurus had started living in style with an armed following and assumed the titles of Sacha Padshah, the true sovereign. However, there was no conflict with the Guru and Aurangzeb till 1675 when Guru Tegh Bahadur was arrested with five of his followers, brought to Delhi and executed. The causes of this was not clear. According to some Persian accounts, the Guru had joined hands with the Pathan Hafiz Adam and created disturbances in Punjab. According to Sikh tradition, the execution was due to intrigues against the Guru by some members of his family who disputed his succession and who had been joined by others. But we are also told that Aurangzeb was annoyed because the Guru had converted a few Muslims to Sikhism and raised a protest against the religious persecution in Kashmir by the local governor. It is difficult to sift the truth of these allegations. Sikhism had gradually spread to many Jat peasants and low caste artisans who were attracted by its simple egalitarian approach. The economic discontent of these sections may have been reflected by the Guru. In Kashmir, the previous governor Saif Khan is a famous as a builder of bridges. He was a humane and broad-minded person who had a Hindu to advise him in administrative matters. Stories of mass persecution by the new governor appear to be exaggerated because Kashmir had been predominantly Muslim since the 15th century. Whatever the reasons, Akbar's actions was unjustified from any point of view. Aurangzeb's action was unjustified from any point of view and betrayed a narrow approach. The execution of Guru Tegh Bahadur forced the Sikhs back to the Punjab hills to go back to the Punjab hills. It also led to the Sikh movement gradually turning into a military brotherhood. A major contribution in this sphere was made by Guru Gobind Singh. He showed considerable organizational ability and founded the military brotherhood or the Khalsa in 1699. Before this, Guru Gobind Singh had made his headquarters at Makhowal or Anandpur in the foothills of the Punjab. At first, the local Hindu hill rajas had tried to use the Guru and his followers in their internecine quarrels, but soon the Guru became too powerful and a series of clashes took place between the hill rajas and the Guru, who generally triumphed. The organization of the Khalsa further strengthened under the hands of the Guru in this conflict. However, an open breach between the Guru and the hill rajas took place only in 1704, when the combined forces of a number of hill rajas attacked the Guru at Anandpur. The Raja had again the Rajas had again to retreat and press the Mughal government to intervene against the Guru on their behalf. So it was basically always our countrymen who were trying to rally the Mughals. The Sikh tradition gives his name as Sher Afghan, but the governor since 1671 was Iftikhar Khan. The Sikh accounts which were written later may have confused his name. The struggle which followed was thus not a religious struggle. It was partly an offshoot of local rivalries among the Hindu hill rajas and the Sikhs, and partly an outcome of the Sikh movement as it had developed. Aurangzeb was concerned with the growing power of the Guru and had asked a Mughal Faujdar earlier to admonish the Guru. He now wrote to the governor of Lahore and the Faujdar of Sir Hind, Wazir Khan, to aid the Hill Rajas in their conflict with Guru Gobind Singh. But the Mughal forces assaulted Anandpur, but the Sikhs fought bravely and beat off all assaults. The Mughals and their allies now investigated the fort closely. When starvation began inside the fort, the Guru was forced to open the gate, apparently on a promise of safe conduct by Wazir Khan. But when the forces of the Guru were crossing a swollen stream, Wazir Khan's forces suddenly attacked. Two of the Guru's sons were captured, and on their refusal to embrace Islam, were beheaded at Sirhind. The Guru lost two of his remaining sons in another battle. After this, the Guru retired to Talwandi and was generally not disturbed. So, because of this starvation going on in the fort, because it was like sealed and there were assaults going on at its boundaries, so with a promise of safe conduct by Wazir Khan, the Guru sent two of his sons with an army, but obviously they backbited him, and the Guru's son were captured, and because of their refusal to embrace Islam, they were beheaded at Sirhind. It is doubtful whether the dastardly actions of Wazir Khan against the son of Guru were carried out at the instance of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb, it seems, was not keen to destroy the Guru and wrote to the governor of Lahore to conciliate the Guru. When the Guru wrote to Aurangzeb in the Deccan apprising him of the events, Aurangzeb invited him to meet him. Towards the end of 1706, the Guru set out for the Deccan and was on the way when Aurangzeb died. According to some, he had hoped to persuade Aurangzeb to restore Anandpur to him. Although Guru Gobind Singh was not able to withstand Mughal might for long or to establish a separate Sikh state, he created a tradition and also forged a weapon for its realization later on. It also showed how an egalitarian religious movement could under certain circumstances turn into political and militaristic movement, but subtly move forward but subtly move towards a regional independence. So earlier it was Guru Tej Bahadur Singh who was executed by Aurangzeb, and then Guru Gobind Singh took charge, but his sons were beheaded in Sirhind because they chose not to embrace Islam. Relations with the Rajputs breach with Marwar and Mewar. We have seen how Jahangir settled in 1613 the long drawn out conflict with Mewar. Jahangir continued Akbar's policy of giving favors to the leading Rajput Rajas and of entering into matrimonial relations with them. Shah Jahan maintained the alliance with the Rajputs. During his reign, Rajput contingents served with distinction in such far-flung areas as the Deccan, Balkh in Central Asia, and Kandahar. However, no Rajput Raja, however, no Rajput Raja was appointed governor of a province, and no further matrimonial relations were made with the leading Rajput Rajas. So Shah Jahan himself was the son of a Rathod princess. Perhaps alliance with the Rajputs have become consolidated. It was felt that matrimonial relations with the leading Rajas were no longer necessary. However, Shah Jahan accorded high honor to the heads of the two leading Rajput houses, Jodhpur and Amber. Raja Jaswant Singh, the ruler of Marwar, was high in Shah Jahan's favor. Both he and Jai Singh held the ranks of 7,000 or 7,000 at the time of Aurangzeb's accession. Aurangzeb attached great value to the alliance with Rajputs. Tradition persists in naming Jodhabai as the mother of Jahangir, but the only marriage of a Rathore princess we know of was the marriage in 1585 of the daughter of Mota Raja Uday Singh with Salim Jahangir. Jahangir's mother may have been a Kachhawa princess. So this is a contention we've been earlier taught and we've been earlier said in most of the folklores that Jodhabai was the mother of Jahangir. Jodhabai actually married uh, Akbar and is said to be the mother of Jahangir. But the only marriage of Rajput princess we know of was the marriage in 1585 of the daughter of Mota Raja Uday Singh with Salim, who is Jahangir. Jahangir's mother may have been a Kachhawa princess. So he tried to secure the active support of the Maharana of Mewar and raised his mansab from 5,000 to 6,000. Although Jaswant Singh had fought against him at Dharmat and defeated from his side during the campaign against Shuja and invited Dara to his dominion, Aurangzeb pardoned him and restored him to his previous mansab, and he was appointed to important commands, including the governorship of Gujarat. Jai Singh retained the close friend and confidant of Aurangzeb till his death in 1667. Jaswant Singh, who had been deputed to look after the affairs of the Afghans in the northwest, died towards the end of 1678. The Maharaja had no surviving male issue, and hence the question of succession to the Gaddi immediately arose. There was a long-standing Mughal tradition that in case of a disputed succession, the state was brought under Mughal administration Khalisa to ensure law and order, and then handed over to the chosen successor. Thus, in 1650, when there was a dispute about succession in Jaisalmer, Shah Jahan first took the state under Khalisa and then sent Jaswant Singh as the head of an army to install the candidate chosen by the emperor. There was another reason also for bringing Marwar under Khalisa. The Maharaja, like most Mughal nobles, had large sums of money due to the state which had he had not been able to pay back. Many Rajputs whom Jaswant Singh had annoyed or whose territories had been granted to him as Jagirs by the emperors were eager to use the absence of a ruler on the Gaddi of Jodhpur to create anticipated resistance from the Rathors. Aurangzeb had allotted two parganas in Marwar for maintenance of the family and supporters of Jaswant Singh. He also assembled a strong army and marched to Ajmer to enforce his orders. Rani Hadi, the chief queen of Jaswant Singh, who had been objecting to the handing over charge of Jodhpur to the Mughals, since it was a watan of the Rathors that had no option but to submit. A diligent search was now made for any hidden treasures that Jaswant Singh might have possessed. Mughal officials were posted all over Marwar and orders were issued that new temples should be demolished or at least closed down. Thus the Mughals behaved as conquerors and treated Marwar as hostile territory. It is difficult to find justification for this. However, Aurangzeb had no intention of retaining control of the territory of Marwar on account of its strategic importance in linking Delhi with Gujarat seaports, as has been asserted by some historians. Two sons had been born at Lahore to two Ranis of Jaswant Singh after his death. Their claim to Gaddi was strongly canvassed. However, before reaching Delhi, Aurangzeb decided to award the Tika of Jodhpur to Inder Singh, the grandson of Jaswant Singh's elder brother Amar Singh, in return for a succession fee of 30 lakh rupees. Perhaps Aurangzeb was moved by the argument that Shah Jahan had done a great injustice in passing over the claims of Amar Singh in giving the Tika to his younger brother, Jaswant Singh. He may also have wanted to avoid a minority administration in Marwar. According to some modern historians, Aurangzeb offered Jodhpur to Ajit Singh, the son of Jaswant Singh, on condition of his becoming a Muslim. There is no such suggestion in contemporary sources. According to a contemporary Rajasthani work, Hukumat-Ribahi, Aurangzeb offered a mansab to Ajit Singh when he was presented at the court in Agra and declared that the two parganas in Marwar, Sojat and Jaitaran, would continue as his Jagir. Thus, Aurangzeb was virtually contemplating a partition of the state of Marwar between the two branches of the family. Rathore Sardars, led by Durgadas, rejected this proffered compromise which they felt would be against the best interests of the state. Angered at the rejection of his offer by the Sardars, Aurangzeb ordered that the princes and their mothers be put in confinement at the court of Nurgarh. This alarmed the Rathore Sardars, who, after a valiant fight, made their escape from Agra along with one of the prince, and crowned him as Ajit Singh at Jodhpur amidst great rejoicing. Aurangzeb might have gracefully accepted the fact that Inder Singh had no following among the Rathors. He set aside Inder Singh for incompetence, but adopted a stern, unbending attitude towards Ajit Singh, declaring him to be a pretender. Strong forces were summoned from all parts of the empire, and once again the Aurangzeb marched to Ajmer. The Rathor resistance was crushed and Jodhpur occupied. Durga Das fleeing with Ajit Singh to Mewar, where the Rana sent him to a secret hideout. It was at this stage that Mewar entered the war on the side of Ajit Singh. Rana Raj Singh, who at one stage had supported Aurangzeb, had been gradually alienated. He had sent a force of 5,000 men under one of his leading men to Jodhpur to back up the claim of Rani Hadi. Apparently, he was deeply opposed to Mughal interference in the internal affairs of the Rajputs, such as questions of succession. Apart from this, he nursed a grievance at Mughal efforts to detach from Mewar the states to its south and west, Dungarpur, Banswara, etc., which had at one time tribute paying dependent rulers. But the immediate cause was his unease at the Mughal military occupation of Marwar and Aurangzeb's rejection of Ajit Singh's claim. Aurangzeb struck the first blow. In November 1679, he attacked Mewar. A strong Mughal detachment reached Udaipur and even raided the camp of Rana, who had retreated deep into the hills to conduct a harassing warfare against the Mughals. The war soon reached a stalemate, and the Mughals could neither penetrate the hills nor deal with the guerrilla tactics of the Rajputs. The war became highly unpopular, Aurangzeb's admonitions and warnings to his commanders having little effect. At last, the eldest son of Aurangzeb, Prince Akbar, tried to take advantage of the situation by turning his arms against his father. In alliance with the Rathod chief Durga Das, he marched on Ajmer, where Aurangzeb was helpless, all his best troops being engaged elsewhere. But Prince Akbar delayed, and Aurangzeb was able to stir up dissensions in his camp by false letters. Prince Akbar had to flee to Maharashtra, lived a sigh, and Aurangzeb heaved a sigh of relief. So it was basically the sons having dad issues and eventually rallying up against their fathers. The campaign of Mewar now became secondary for Aurangzeb. He patched up a treaty with Rana Jagat Singh, who had succeeded Rana Raj Singh in the meantime. The new Rana was forced to surrender some of his paraganas in the lieu of jizya and was granted a mansab of 5,000 on a promise of loyalty and of not supporting Ajit Singh. Regarding Ajit Singh, all that Aurangzeb would promise was that mansab and Raj would be given to him when he came of age. This agreement and the promise regarding Ajit Singh satisfied none of the Rajputs. The Mughals kept their control on Marwar, and desultory warfare continued till 1698 when at last Ajit Singh was recognized as the ruler of Marwar, but the Mughals refused to relax their hold on the capital, Jodhpur. Rana of Mewar too remained dissatisfied at the surrender of his Pargana to the Mughals. There was no change in the situation till Aurangzeb died in 1707. Aurangzeb's policy towards Marwar and Mewar was clumsy and blundering and brought no advantage of any kind to the Mughals. On the other hand, Mughal failure against these states damaged Mughal military prestige. It is true that the battles of Marwar after 1681 involved only a few troops and were not of much consequence militarily. It is also true that Hada and Kachawa and other Rajput contingents continued to serve the Mughals. But the results of the Marwar policy of Aurangzeb cannot be judged solely by these. The breach with Marwar and Mewar weakened the Mughal alliance with the Rajputs at a crucial period. Above all, it created doubts about the firmness of Mughal support to old and trusted allies and the ulterior motives of Aurangzeb. While it showed the rigid and obstinate nature of Aurangzeb, but it did not, however, show a determination to subvert Hinduism as has been alleged because during the period between because during the period after 1679, large number of Marathas were allowed entry into the nobility, raising the proportion of the Hindus in the nobility from about 24% during the reign of Shah Jahan to about 33%. While Aurangzeb's conflict in the northeast with the Jars, Afghans, and Rajputs put a stain on the empire, the real conflict lay in the Deccan. So the Marathas are present in the Deccan, and we would see what would happen and what's the fate there. So with this, we have come an end to this chapter, the climax integration of the Mughal Empire, part one. So this another chapter following the same topic. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Till then, bye.